A princess joined forces with 7 dwarfs to liberate her kingdom from her cruel stepmother, the Evil Queen. Hey everyone, Luke Ripa here and welcome to my mini review for Snow White, latest remake of a Disney classic, this time directed by Mark Webb, with Rachel Zegler in the titular role and Gal Gadot donning the Evil Queen. This is another movie that has been surrounded by controversy. The Latina Snow White, the dwarves not being actual dwarves anymore, political correctness, and the different political views between the two stars. It's fair to say that this movie will be a hit on Disney Plus for that reason, but there will be some doubt on its theatrical run. The movie is nowhere near as bad as its 2.1 out of 10 IMDb, but it's not a knockout of the park either. If you wanted a faithful adaptation of the original 1937 classic, you will be disappointed. Bear in mind, it absolutely needed an update, the classic was narratively as bourbon as it could be, and yeah, it worked for that era. The way Erin Cressida Wilson substantiated the story mostly works but misses the marks in a few points. I appreciated the new origin for the name, granted it was needed, but it's actually based on a legend that inspired the Grimm's tales. Snow White, instead of being a generic princess, is a daughter who grew up with precise ideals and lives by that code. Even here, nothing to complain about. The prince is now Jonathan, a self-righteous leader of a gang of bandits that rebel against the Evil Queen. He is fairly characterized as well. The 7 dwarves are now magical creatures, whose powers consist in living a long life, they are 244 years old, and being good at mining. The highlight of this rewrite is Dopey, who indeed has a dope character arc. Also, no, the CGI didn't bother me. In general, the point here is that while Snow White is the protagonist, it is everyone who is influenced by her who has a more dramatic arc and change rather than herself. A point I wish was more marked in the narrative. The Evil Queen is pure evil, has no redeeming quality, but like Jafar in Guy Ritchie's Aladdin, it eventually suffers from this one-dimensionality in a live-action context. Gal Gadot doesn't really help, she's not terrible, but also this character needed some charisma she doesn't bring. And she is greatly overshadowed by Rachel Zegler, who totally earns her star status here. Mark Webb's directing helps quite a bit in developing the characters in the dramatic moments, and makes the relationship between Snow White and Jonathan actually genuine. Worst part of this revisitation is the Evil Queen's demise. Again, the dwarves here couldn't kill her for obvious reason, but the way they went with it was a way to keep the door open for a sequel, I guess? Because, you know, magic. Overall, I score Snow White with a 7 out of 10. Rachel Zegler shines in this right but flawed reimagination of the 1937 classic. I'm Luke Ripa and follow Wikos for more.